Good morning again. So now we're moving on to chapter 9, or session 9, on corporate strategy. And this is the final chapter dealing with strategy formulation from the outline in slide number 2. So corporate strategy is looking at a slightly different perspective on strategic management. Up to now we've been talking about competitive strategy and looking at how to enhance your competitive advantage in an environment. But now I want to move on to looking at a strategy which is based on cooperation. So what's the competitive advantage gained by cooperating with others as opposed to competing with others? Now, using cooperative strategies at IBM, they have systems of finance and software and services and so on. IBM was formerly a hardware provider of solutions and software and so on. But in today's world, IBM has learned so much from its clients, its customers, that it now has a cooperative strategy with them. So it's developing collectively with their customers solutions to the kinds of challenges faced by those customers. So cooperative strategy is a strategy in which firms work together to achieve a shared objective, rather than competing with each other. A simple example might be if you have a hotel in a particular part of the city and they're overbooked and customers come along looking for accommodation. Well, if that hotel can refer the customer to local hotels down the road who are their competitors, they are sharing the business. So that's cooperation. In turn, they will get business back from the other hotels when they get overbooked and they need to provide accommodation for new customers coming in. So having a collaborative and cooperative strategy is in fact quite important. The other area of cooperation is how can we collectively deal with the challenges faced by an industry. So for example, right now with the coronavirus, water industry is learning from each other in how they adapt to and manage the challenges faced by the disruption in business with the coronavirus. One way of doing this is through strategic alliances. This is partnering between firms whereby the resources and capabilities are combined to create a competitive advantage, but also using strategic alliances, they can solve problems together in a more trustworthy and consistent manner. So types of strategic alliances might be a joint venture, equity strategic alliance, or a non-equity strategic alliance. Other types of non-equity strategic alliances include licensing, distribution agreements, supply contracts, marketing agreements, and code-sharing agreements among different airlines. For example, Garuda Airlines has a code-share agreement with Singapore Airlines. So when I was coming through Singapore recently, I was shifted from Silk Air, which is a subsidiary of Singapore Airlines, onto Garuda Airlines. And this is easy to do when you have a code-share arrangement. So these strategic alliances are based upon collaboration. And while Singapore Air and Garuda will also compete with each other, they can collaborate through strategic alliances, through code-sharing, etc., to provide solutions to challenging problems. The reasons for strategic alliances may vary by market type. So in a slow cycle, it may be gain access to restricted markets, it may establish a franchise, or may maintain market stability. In a fast cycle environment, it can speed up the development of new goods and services, it can develop new market entry positions, it can maintain market leadership, and it can form strong technology. In a standard cycle business, it can gain market power, gain access to complementary resources, and establish better economies of scale. So, depending upon the type of market, slow cycle, fast cycle, or standard cycle, our strategic alliances may also have to vary. Now, when we look at business level cooperative strategy, we are looking at the potential for strategic alliances which are vertical and horizontal. And we've talked about those already in this program. So a business level strategy is used to help the firm improve its performance in individual product markets. And there are 4 business level cooperative strategies that we can look at. There are also complementary strategic alliances or partnerships, which are designed to take advantage of market opportunities by combining partner firms' resources and capabilities in a complementary way so that new value is created. A vertical complementary strategy is formed between firms that agree to use their resources and capabilities in different stages of the value chain to create additional value. So business level cooperative strategies are complementary strategies, vertical and horizontal. There may be competitive strategy, response strategy, it may be uncertainty reducing strategy, or it may be competition reducing strategy. So if we look at a vertical complementary strategic alliance, it links suppliers and manufacturers and distributors and represents linkages between different segments of each partner's value chain. A horizontal complementary strategic alliance is an arrangement that links similar segments of competing firms' value chains, such as linking R&D or new product development activities or even new marketing or promotion activities. There are different cooperative strategies in terms of alliances. These may be established to enable partner firms to respond to major strategic actions or initiated by competitors. In the case of the coronavirus, there's a whole new ball game developing in that now the challenge is from outside and it's unknown. We have no certainty about how to deal with this virus. We have no clarity as to how long it's going to last, how long it's going to disrupt business, how long it's going to impact upon people's movements, etc., etc. So in a situation like that, we do need to collaborate much more effectively across different sectors in order to collectively deal with the challenges faced by the coronavirus. Uncertainty reducing strategies, especially in fast cycle markets, again, we need to find ways of developing alliances with others in such a way that we hedge against risk and uncertainty. At corporate level, cooperative strategies are designed to facilitate product and market diversification through a means other than a merger or acquisition. So we may have diversifying strategic alliances, synergistic strategic alliances, or franchising. Now, in international cooperative strategy, multinational corporations outperform firms operating in only a domestic market. So where you have a domestic market situation, yes, there's a limit to what you can learn from that. But if you're going into the international arena and going cross-border with your business, then the lessons that you learn from your domestic market are going to be invaluable in terms of coping with the challenges you're going to face across border. So strategic alliances with local partners can help firms overcome certain liabilities of moving into a foreign country, such as lack of knowledge of the local culture or institutional norms. So in general, cross-border alliances are more complex and risky than domestic strategic alliances, but they're very essential. Now, networking is another cooperative strategy, and how you network with different kinds of firms or different kinds of suppliers or distributors and so on also becomes very important. Nike's, for example, long-established relationship between the firm and its global network of suppliers and distributors means that Nike has been able to successfully enter and be effective in different markets across the world. Now, some of the risks with cooperative strategies are evidence suggests that 2/3 of cooperative strategies have serious problems in the first 2 years, and as many as 70% of them eventually fail. So working in a cooperative strategy across countries, yes, has its risks and downsides, but there are success factors as well. So part of the reason why failure occurs is poor contract development that may result in one or more of the partners acting opportunistically and taking advantage of other venture partners. misrepresentation of the firm's competencies by misstating or exaggerating an intangible resource such as knowledge of local market conditions, or failure of partner firms to make complementary resources available to the venture as agreed. So there are risks involved. So managing competitive risks in partner strategies, we need to have more adequate contracts, we need to have greater transparency and representation of competencies, and partners need to be much more open and to sharing knowledge and expertise.